This week in IT, Microsoft buys Minit for mining, but not cryptocurrency, and QNAP warns that most of its NAS devices are vulnerable to a critical OpenSSL vulnerability. So let's start this week with an update to Microsoft Defender. Now, Microsoft is saying that it's enabling a new feature that will block all drivers that have known security vulnerabilities in them. Of course, that's great because it's going to stop hackers from being able to inject vulnerabilities into drivers that are signed, but also kernel drivers, of course, and that can affect the stability of systems. Now, the only issue that you might have with this new feature is that it requires memory integrity to be enabled. So that's the core isolation feature in Windows 10 and Windows 11 that relies on virtualized security VBS to work. Now, most consumer devices at least come with this feature turned off. And while most modern hardware will allow you to turn it on, of course the user's going to have to go into the Windows settings and do this for themselves. But of course, if you're in a big organization, then you can manage these settings for yourself. Now, Microsoft is maintaining a list of all those drivers, so as far as I understand, it's not something that you can actually control which drivers are blocked and which are not. That's controlled by Microsoft. But I think that's probably for the best because it's not something that you have to maintain and track yourself. So a little bit of quickfire news. So the IE mode in Microsoft Edge is getting a bit of an update this week because Microsoft discovered a couple of issues with some enterprise applications that relied on cookies and some COM functionality. So Microsoft has addressed those issues, and it's really important because, of course, IE is going away completely in June this year. It's being retired, so you need to make sure any enterprise applications that you have that rely on IE are going to work in Edge IE mode, of course. So coming back to that QNAP news, so if you're using a NAS device that's directly connected to the internet, there's a vulnerability in the OpenSSL implementation on those devices. Now, QNAP has said that this can cause denial of service or for those devices to be crashed. So while there's no evidence at the moment that a hacker could actually compromise the data on one of your devices, nevertheless it could make it unavailable to users. Now, at the moment there is no update, and QNAP says you're just going to have to wait for a security update to be made available, and then of course update your devices as soon as you can. This week Microsoft also said that it's making available a new feature in Windows Update for Business called gradual rollouts. Now, it first announced this back at Ignite in November last year, and this is similar to the functionality that Microsoft uses for the Windows Update service, so for consumers who just rely on Microsoft basically to update their devices. So now this only applies to feature updates, so for Windows 11 that's happening just once a year, and this feature basically uses artificial intelligence to have a look at the software and hardware configuration of all the devices on your network and decide which ones should be updated first. So it will gradually apply feature updates across all of the devices on your network and only expand that group or circle you like of devices until it's sure that devices are going to have a good experience. Now, this feature is only available to organizations that have an enterprise E3 license or greater. You can also only configure it using Microsoft Intune or assumably any other mobile device management platform, but you can't you can't do this with group policy or something like that. You do need Intune. And probably it should go without saying that this only applies, of course, to Windows 11 and Windows 10. And while I'm on the subject of Windows Update, Microsoft announced that in a Windows Insider build, it's also adding a new feature that will basically make Windows Update more energy efficient. So using data from various providers and, relevant to your locality, of course, Windows Update will be able to understand whether your power grid is basically using renewable energy at a particular time and then run updates then. Now, of course, there are a billion Windows devices around the world, so this should make Greta Thunberg happy. She's not going to smite you if you turn this feature on. Not sure if you need to turn it on or if it's going to be enabled by default. And I can imagine this is also going to be great for Windows Server, in Azure data centers, because this is going to help Microsoft to save money. So in another announcement this week, Microsoft announced that it was buying a process mining company called Minit. Now, if you're not aware what process mining is, Microsoft has started to invest a little bit into this in Power Automate. Basically, what it allows you to do is analyze and improve the business processes in your company. So, for instance, if you're using Power Automate to help automate the workflows of various processes, this technology is designed to help you analyze it and to automatically and easily improve those processes, Microsoft is saying. Now, you can imagine in very large enterprises, those processes can become quite complex. And what this technology from Minit allows you to do, as far as I can understand, is really deeply analyze what's going on with those processes and even monitor them in real time, so you can see what's happening, when it's happening, who's doing various things, and to analyze those processes in not only kind of data dashboards, but in very visual ways. So this technology looks really interesting. I don't know how or when exactly it's going to be available inside Microsoft 365, what kind of licenses you're going to need to be able to use it. I would imagine an enterprise license. But I'm looking forward to seeing whether this technology is going to be as useful, especially for large enterprises, as it really looks. So if you'd like to see more news summaries like this every week, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like, because it really helps to distribute it so that more people get to see it. That's it from me, and I'll see you next week.